Hello everybody, Cindy here with Monarch Mom DIY. So excited to be back with you today with 4 more frame hacks using Dollar Tree frames and some other supplies. I really hope you enjoy. Let's get crafting. For DIY number 1, I'm going to use 4 of these wooden frames with beads from Dollar Tree, a piece of the peel and stick wallpaper, some wood letters from Hobby Lobby, and a couple of paint sticks. First thing we're going to do is we are going to remove everything from the frame. Totally not a necessary step for the painting we're going to do, but we are going to be adding something to the glass. So with my 4 frames and the peel and stick wallpaper I chose to use, I'm going with greens for this. You can see that eucalyptus type of wallpaper. So I decided to take Waverly chalk paint in the lighter green color called Celery, and we're going to do the outside of the frame, the larger rectangle that's on the outside of the beads. And then I'm going to take Fern, which is a darker green, and I'm going to do the inside rectangle. Now, if you use a small enough paintbrush and take, a little bit of time, you don't need to try to tape off the beads. You could also paint the beads if you wanted to. I definitely plan on going back and trying to find more of these frames. They're very, very cute. And I loved what they looked like. You can see on the fern green, I'm also going to paint just a little bit on the inside edge there, all the way around to give a nice finished look. And I'm not painting the outside edges quite yet, and you'll see why in just a minute. Okay, so the insides that came out of the frame is 4 by 6. So taking my peel and stick wallpaper, I'm going to cut 4 pieces that are just a little bit bigger than 4 by a little bit bigger than 6 so that I can line them up and then just trim off any excess. And you will have a little bit left, a few small pieces of this wallpaper to use for future projects. Then taking the peel and stick wallpaper, kind of like we did in my last video with the flower canvas and also with the tray, we're going to put the peel and stick wallpaper right on top of the glass. Okay, so get those 4 pieces on there lined up as best you can. And then see, when you make the wallpaper a little bit bigger, you can just go and trim the excess. This is so much easier than trying to cut an exact 4 by 6 and trying to line it up perfectly on the glass. So just cut your wallpaper a little bit bigger than you need to cover whatever surface you are covering. All right, once the frames are dry and we have our wallpaper, we're just gonna put everything back in, clamp it down, and then I am going to gently remove the easel with the little bracket. So I just love that. You could do this with any of the wallpapers and any colors of paint. Now I am going to take 2 of these 1-gallon paint sticks and I'm going to use antique wax. I'm also going to use antique wax on these tall, skinny wood letters from Hobby Lobby. You get 2 in a package. And I have the letters here to spell the word home. So we're just using the baby wipe, getting that antique wax on our letters and on our 2 paint sticks. Coming back to our frames now, I'm just going to use wood glue. Whoops, a little bit extra coming out there. And I'm going to take 2 of the frames and glue them together on a long side. And we're going to make 2 sets of 2 here. And then once those are dry, we'll glue all 4 of them together in a rectangle. Now to add a little bit more stability, I'm going to use some of these giant craft sticks from Walmart. And you can see I'm going to cut a few pieces here that we're going to hot glue across the seams. We want this to be nice and sturdy. We don't want to worry that 2 of the frames are going to separate from the other 2 or anything like that. So just go ahead. It's the back side anyway. No one's going to see it. And we're going to then hot glue these pieces in place. Then flipping it over, it's really starting to come together. We're gonna now glue one of our letters in the center of each of our frames to spell the word home. Again, you could do this with any number of frames you want. You could do them all horizontally in a line to spell whatever word. You could make it spell your last name. The last thing I'm going to do is take these two paint sticks, and you can see I am gluing them together in a corner. I'm making a right angle, and then I'm going to glue it to the top corners of my two top frames to make this into a house shape. I love this. I've done this before with reverse canvases, but I thought this would be a cute idea for these frames. And then you can even glue a little wreath with a bow up at the top as well. And here is finished DIY number 1. Very, very cute. If these frames are a little big for you, you could always do this idea with smaller frames and smaller wood letters as well. For DIY number 2, we're going to take 4 of these small rectangular frames. These are actually like table numbers for weddings, some tumbling tower blocks, a little battery powered tea light, and some pictures that I printed out on my computer. I actually printed them on rice paper, but I'm pretty sure they would work just fine with regular copy paper. So I'm going to take 12 tumbling tower blocks, and you can see I'm using wood glue to glue them together in sets of 3. Use a baby wipe, wipe away any excess glue so that it's a nice finished surface when everything dries. Once those are dry and wiped off, we're going to come to our pictures. I will also say I tried to make the pictures have a little bit more of a transparency to them, because what we're going to do is we're going to attach these to the glass. And there's one thing I did that I want to make sure I tell you not to do, because I think it could have ruined my project. But cut out your pictures. I just cut them whatever size the frame said. Then we're going to go ahead and remove everything from these 4 little frames. Then I'm going to take the glass and I'm going to put a little bit of Mod Podge on, and I'm going to brush it as smooth as I can get it. We are going to Mod Podge the picture to the front of the glass. Now, the next thing I'm going to do once I get the Mod Podge on is I'm going to spritz water on the back of my picture. Don't do this, okay? All you need to do is Mod Podge it on, because there were a couple spots where it did make the ink run. So just use the Mod Podge, okay? All right, we're coming back to the tumbling tower blocks now because they're dry. I am now going to glue 2 sets of 3 together. So now we have 2 sets of 6. Same steps, wipe any excess glue, let them dry, and then we're going to glue those 2 sets together in a square. Okay, this is going to end up being the base for our lantern that we're making, our little photo lantern. All right, so now that we've got our picture, see, you can see there in the back where the picture's wet. Don't do that. Just use the Mod Podge. We are just going to put the glass back into the frame. We're not using the backing. We're not using any of the paper. And we are going to hot glue that in all the way around. Okay, so our 4 frames are ready. We're coming to our base now. We're going to sand it nice and smooth. And we're going to then give it a coat of black chalk paint so it just kind of matches the rest of the frames. So give that a good coat, let it dry. I am going to do the top, the bottom, and all 4 edges. Now, while our paint is drying, we're going to come back to the frames. We're going to use a combination of E6000 and hot glue. And we're going to take 2 of these frames. One is face down. The other one, we're lining it up on the glue to make a right angle. So 2 pieces of our little cube that we're going to make. And then we're going to do the same thing with the other 2. We're going to let those dry before we complete the, I guess it's actually a rectangular prism. But We're going to come back to the base now that the paint is dry. We're going to sand it nice and smooth for our project. Now that our two halves are dry, we're going to put glue on the other pieces. Again, E6000 and hot glue. And we're going to glue these together in a cube or a rectangular prism. Then the last thing I'm going to do is just set our frames on the base, put a little tea light in there, and just look how cute that is. You could make a lid if you wanted to. I decided just to have it open, but you'll see where you can take this idea and just do lots of different things with it. For DIY number 3, we're going to make another type of project using this arched frame. We're going to use a wood crate from Dollar Tree. I'm using some of these little angels, but I'll give you some other ideas. And we're going to use a stencil from Magnolia. So these I've seen at a couple stores. They do come in white and black. And what I'm going to do first is I'm going to spray paint the glass and my crate with white. I just wanted to keep everything white since the frame was already white. Now I am flipping this over. I am putting the stencil down on the side of the glass that I did not spray the spray paint on. Okay, so the spray paint is on the back coming through the glass. My stencil is going to go on the front. All right, I'm just going to use the flower design. And I'm just using chalk paste because this is just going to be indoors. I don't anticipate it getting wet. But if you were possibly going to get it wet, you could do ink and then heat set it. The other thing about using the chalk paste is if I ever wanted to clean it off, I could just take the glass out and put some water on it and be able to clean off this design. But I wanted to do at least one project using one of our stencils, and just look how pretty this is on that white background. Now coming to the crate, I'm just smoothing it out because the crates aren't like really smooth, and then when you spray paint them, they're a little bit more textured. So just smoothing out our crate, and then we're going to use some hot glue along these 3 sides of the crate to glue the frame to the back of the crate. We're just going to make a cute little like floral display box. Okay, so just using hot glue. Now I had these angels from Christmas time in my stash. If you pull the wings off, they make just cute little feet, okay, or legs if you want to elevate something. So I'm not painting mine. I'm just going to keep a little bit of the natural wood in there. You, of course, could paint these if you wanted. If you can't find these at fall time, they have the mushrooms sometimes. You could even use just the small cubes that they pretty much always have in the Crafter Square section. Now that the feet are on, we're going to take a little bit of floral foam from Dollar Tree, and as soon as I get my pieces kind of cut to fit inside the crate, we're going to hot glue those in so that they don't move around. Then we're going to put a little bit more hot glue on top of the floral foam just to add some of this floral moss to cover up the floral foam. Then, like I've said before, on these types of floral arrangement projects, just use whatever florals you have, whatever you like. You could just do greenery if you want. You could just do white. You could do any colors that you'd like. So that's all I'm doing. I'm trying to cut them a little bit tall, but I don't want them to be so tall that you can't see the stenciled image in the background. If you are interested in this stencil, I will put a link for it in the description of this video. And here's the finished little floral box with the legs and that arched frame and the stencil. Again, there's lots of different ways you could modify this for any colors or stencil. For DIY number 4, I'm pretty excited because this is one I saw a picture of and I wanted to recreate it. I'm using tumbling tower blocks and 4 of these galvanized metal clip frames from Dollar Tree. Now, for the tumbling tower blocks, I'm going to start out by making sticks of 4, okay? So I'm going to glue 4 of them together, kind of slide them up out of the way so that they can dry, and then keep going. Next, we're going to take some tumbling tower blocks. We are going to glue together 8 sticks of 4, and then side by side, we're going to do 2 sets of 3, and then 4 sets of 4 to start building this project. We're just going to glue these together in smaller groupings like we've done before. Let's see, with the photo little lantern, we're going to wipe the glue. We're going to let them dry completely. Then we're going to take our 2 sets of 4 and glue them together. And our other 2 sets of 4, and then our 2 sets of 3. So we're not going to glue together the sets of 3. Okay, so now all our blocks are glued and they're drying. Coming to the frames, you are going to need scissors or something to pry these open because those little metal clips are strong. Now, you can't see this right now, but the side edges of these frames are already black. So all I'm going to need to do is paint the fronts of these with the black Waverly chalk paint, and that's all I'm going to need to do. Once my tumbling tower blocks are dry, I'm going to sand them lightly with my little hand sander, and we're going to get them nice and smooth so that we can paint them black as well. Now, once these sets of blocks are dry, I'm going to glue them together in this format here. We're going to kind of make a square with a square hole in the center. And this is the piece that I'm going to have to add to in a little bit. So if you just go off the 4 sets of 4 and then the 2 sets of 3, you're going to get the size that you see here. Again, we're gluing it, we're drying it, we're sanding it, and then we're going to paint this black. Now we're coming back to those 8 sticks of 4 that we made. We're going to sand those lightly as well. And what we're going to do once we get it wiped clean is we're also going to sand our little lid here. This is going to be the lid of our box. We're also going to sand, maybe even distress a little bit, each of our 4 frames. And once those are sanded, we're going to pop the center of our frames back into the frame, put those clips down, and then remove the easel hanger from the back of each of the frames. Now, what I'm going to do before we glue these together in a square, I'm taking one of the sticks of 4 tumbling tower blocks and gluing it right on the side of the frame like this. With wood glue, we're going to let this dry. This is going to make each face of our box a little bit wider. It's also going to make some little feet for this box that we are making. Okay, so 2 of these sticks are going to be for each frame. One is going to go on each side, but I'm just going to do one, let it dry, and then here you can see I'm putting the second leg. We'll just call them legs. And then I'm going to take 2 of these and glue them together in a square like we've been doing before. I do have the tops down onto my table so that they can be nice and flat. We'll do 2 sets of 2 as we've done before. And once those are dry, here you see we're going to have them glued all 4 together. Now again, this is upside down. The feet are pointing at you as you're looking down. All right, so I said we were going to need some more blocks, and some more sticks of blocks. So I'm actually going to make 5 sticks of 3. 2 of these we're going to use to add and make our lid a little bit bigger. And 3 of them we're going to use on the bottom of the box to hold our tissue box in place. Okay, so here you can see I'm going to add a stick of 3 on each of these sides. So we're just going to glue those on and let them dry. This is going to make, like I said, the lid for our tissue box big enough so that it can just set on top. We're not going to glue it on, and we want it to have a little bit on either side that's going to hold it in place. So those are all the blocks you need to make the lid for this tissue box. Now, the other 3 sticks of 3, we are going to make kind of a shelf on the bottom. So I am gluing this one across the bottom of one frame to the one across from it. Okay, right in the middle. I'm going to hold it in place until it's nice and secure. Then the other 2, I'm going to put glue on the ends and also on one of the long sides here, because we're going to glue this right between the legs, but on the back side of this frame that is facing me. Okay, and then we're going to do the other one on the other side. And those 3 pieces going across are going to hold our tissue box in place. Here I'm just coming back to my lid, sanding it, distressing it so everything all matches. We're going to set our tissue box inside. We're going to put our lid on and pull one of the tissues coming through. Okay, so you can see it doesn't completely cover, but it's good enough to stay in place. And I was so happy to recreate this. This was really fun to make. You can put pictures on the little clips. You can see a wreath. You could put scripture verses, whatever you'd like. And of course, paint this whatever color you would like as well. Well, I want to thank you guys again so much for joining me, for subscribing to my channel, for watching my videos, for commenting, for giving thumbs up. I appreciate you guys so much. Please let me know in the comments which of these projects was your favorite, and we'll talk to you again real soon. Thanks so much and take care.